Zhu Yumei was a little depressed. The shelter was far too small, and if she had to remain here with the horny bad guy, problems were bound to occur at some point. I'm so young and sexy. I have a great figure. There is no way that bad guy will refrain from touching me. Should I escape into the desert now? But then again, I have no idea where I am or where I might go. And there are so many creatures out there, it'd be dangerous. If I don't escape, the holy temple of my body will be desecrated by that bad guy. Zhu Yumei struggled with the decision. The silver fox eventually got tired of running around, and it ended up taking a rest on the city's gate. Little Orange had grown tired too, and despite its meowing, it didn't bother jumping up. Whether it was too tired or simply understood its inability to ever catch the silver fox, she didn't know. The pet is just like the master. All it does is infuriate others. They are both just as bad as each other, Zhu Yumei thought to herself as she peered at the silver fox that was resting above the gate. She was mad. She didn't want to provoke it, however, as she had seen and felt firsthand how powerful the silver fox was. And so, she still contemplated whether or not she should escape. It was almost sunset by now, and she couldn't come to a decision. If Han Sen was an ugly bastard, Zhu Yumei would have already run off a long time ago. But the guy was fairly handsome and quite clean. He didn't look all too scary or villainous, and that was the reason she refrained from running away the moment he left her. Strange, what is he doing in the city anyway? Why has he been in there for so long? The time she had spent contemplating her decision of whether or not to stay had made her oblivious to Han Sen's disappearance up until now as well. But now she started to worry for him. He had been gone for an entire afternoon, after all. Hey, are you in there? Zhu Yumei called out from the outside. What is he doing in there? Zhu Yumei bit her lip and tiptoed into the city. She sleuthed around carefully in search of him, so she could maybe catch a look at what he had gotten up to during his absence. But after walking around for some time, she couldn't find him. That's strange. Where did he go? Has he left this place? Zhu Yumei mumbled these words beneath her breath, which made her feel a little strange. As she was doing this, it was too late for her to notice. She tripped over something and ended up on the ground. Ouch! Zhu Yumei cried out in pain. When she raised her head, she noticed Han Sen standing right in front of her. In one hand, he held a cake. In the other, a freshly brewed beverage. She also noticed he had changed his clothes, and his hair was damp. His body exuded a pleasant body wash fragrance. He had been in the shower. Where did you get all that from? Zhu Yumei asked, with eyes opened wide. I bought it, of course. How else would I get it? Han Sen gave her a look as if he was witnessing the feverish question of a mad woman. No, that's not what I meant. Where did you buy all this from? Zhu Yumei quickly asked. I bought it from a vending machine. Where else could I buy them? Han Sen returned a question. Zhu Yumei believed she was going insane. Without a care for how powerful he was, she grabbed Han Sen's arm and asked, You can leave this place. Well, duh. How else could I have bought such stuff? Han Sen smiled. How did you get out? Isn't there a spirit guarding the teleporter? Zhu Yumei asked with giddy excitement. I just walked. Big brother, if I offended you earlier, in any capacity, it was because of how young and reckless I was back then. Could you find it in your heart to forgive me? Zhu Yumei held on to the urge to try to strangle Han Sen. She hovered around him in a cute pose, smiling fondly towards him as she spoke. Okay, I forgive you. Han Sen nodded. Brilliant. Then come on, let's go. I'll pay you back once we're free from this place. When should we head out? Zhu Yumei had been driven slightly mad, after being here all alone for so long. I told you I forgave you, didn't I? I didn't say I'd take you out of this place, Han Sen calmly told her. Phew, what do you want? Zhu Yumei almost fainted in anger, and her finger trembled as she pointed it at Han Sen. Nothing. I just don't want to commit to the effort of getting you out of here, Han Sen told her, drinking his beverage. Zhu Yumei was fuming mad, but she knew there was nothing she could do. She couldn't beg, fight, or do anything for him. Suddenly, Zhu Yumei's eyes drifted to the snacks Han Sen had brought with him. She suddenly grabbed the bag and ran. While she ran off, she said, You drank all my beverages. This is payment for that. Zhu Yumei quickly jumped on top of Little Orange and presented Han Sen with an ugly face. She pulled the drinks and snacks out of the rucksack and shouted to Han Sen, Since you aren't going to make an effort to bring me away from this place, I'm going to eat all the snacks envisioning they are you. Zhu Yumei imagined the snacks were Han Sen, and so she ripped, tore, and bit into them to release her anger. It had been a long time since she last ate and drank like that. Once her belly had been stuffed and she couldn't eat anymore, she went to sleep atop Little Orange. Saving people was a good thing, but it was more often than not a troublesome task. If he brought Zhu Yumei out with him now, the Zhu family would most likely be made aware of the connection he had with her. If he didn't bring Zhu Yumei, perhaps the Zhu family would hate him for it. If Han Sen tried escorting her away, and something was to happen to her while she was in his hands. The Zhu family would be out for his blood, too. Perhaps the Zhu family would be understanding, but with what he had recently been embroiled in, he wanted to be more careful. When Zhu Yumei next woke up, she noticed Han Sen and the silver fox were gone. She thought Han Sen had returned to the Alliance for a while and would come back shortly, but after he had disappeared for a whole day, she began to get worried. Han Sen had previously asked her what points of interest there were in the area, and she had informed him of a black mountain that wasn't too far off. That mountain was inhabited by a strange twin-tail purple scorpion. It was a creature that even Little Orange was afraid of, and was most likely a fearsome super creature. When Han Sen heard of a lonely super creature out there, he had shown a feverish desire to slay it. If it was a second-generation super creature, that would have been the icing on the cake he very much desired. According to the directions Zhu Yumei gave him, Han Sen had to walk 100 miles to just about see the mountain in the distance. Han Sen rode his golden growler towards the mountain, and with the silver fox by his side, all the other creatures that inhabited the area hid. He managed to detect the life force he had been searching for and hurried his golden growler up the slopes. Eventually, he laid eyes on the twin-tail purple scorpion, which he found wandering the foothills of the mountain. It was fervently digging into the sand. There were many black rocks in the hole it dug, and it was a trying task for it to remove them. The twin-tail purple scorpion was 1 meter deep, but Han Sen could not guess what it may have been searching for. Han Sen wanted to observe the twin-tail scorpion's strange behavior for a little while longer, so he did not summon his little angel to immediately attack the fiend. For a better view, he climbed atop a 10-meter-tall boulder, and then resumed watching the scorpion digging up the rocks. He had become quite keen. While watching, he opened his gene lock with the Dongshuan Sutra to observe its energy flow, and assert whether or not it was a second-generation super creature as he had hoped it to be. Han Sen was disappointed, however. The energy inside the scorpion was all blurred, and he could not watch the energy flow properly, which meant it was only a first-generation super creature. Since it was only a first-generation super creature, all he could hope for by defeating it was a beast soul. The life Geno essences weren't useful to him, and only fronted a monetary value. Han Sen didn't want to sell too many life Geno essences, either, as they tended to make others jealous. The entire alliance was currently focusing on him like starved beggars admiring a spit roast. Is this guy a little too thirsty? Maybe. Perhaps it's trying to get some water. Han Sen said this in half-jest, because he knew that super creatures did not need to eat or drink to survive. Only certain special super creatures or pregnant super creatures would occasionally eat. It kept on digging until it vanished from sight, and all Han Sen could see was the remaining presence of a hole. Han Sen summoned his wings and flew up high to get an aerial view of the hole. Upon inspection, he noted that the hole was a dozen meters deep and it eventually opened up into a cave or cavern of sorts. There has to be something special down there. Han Sen was surprised, and so he summoned his super armor and ventured inside with his silver fox in hand. Once he had dropped down into the cave, he noticed the presence of an opening in one of the walls. He ventured closer to have a look, and what he saw surprised him. There was a further cavern inside, one that was massive. He couldn't even begin to predict how large it was. The twin-tailed scorpion was inside, snapping the bamboo-like plants. The shoots were hollow inside, but many of them contained big white bugs, not too dissimilar to silkworms. They were only about 10 centimeters long, but they looked juicy and fat. The scorpion ate the white bugs and bamboo together, which produced an echoing munching sound. If the scorpion is eating, that most likely means it is pregnant. Han Sen reviewed the situation and asked himself a number of questions. The bamboo and the white bugs in the cave were eaten in droves by the hungry scorpion. Eventually, it looked to be full and wanted to leave, and so it started to return in Han Sen's direction. Han Sen quickly made his exit and evaded the scorpion's sight. It wasn't long before the scorpion itself re-emerged, and when it did, it went up the mountain. Han Sen did not give the scorpion chase. If it really was pregnant, he knew it'd be a waste to kill it now. He much preferred the idea of waiting until it had given birth before slaying it and the baby. But Han Sen still had a strong interest in the bamboo he had observed down below, and the white bugs they seemed to contain. He waited until the scorpion was long gone and then, with a command for the silver fox to stand guard, ventured back inside. He didn't want to risk having the scorpion return and corner him. There were many bamboo-looking plants in the cavern, and they were about 30 centimeters in diameter. Many of them had already been snapped in two by the scorpion, following its visit, so there was a lot strewn across the ground. Han Sen picked up a broken shoot of bamboo and tried to crush it in his hands but could not. He had to amp up his strength and exhaust all the power he could to eventually do so. That's some tough bamboo. Han Sen threw the bamboo on the floor and then summoned his peacock crossbow. He loaded it with a Z-steel bolt and fired it at one of the bugs that was trying to crawl its way into one of the broken bamboo ends. The Z-steel bolt pierced through the white bug's body, which made it squeal and release a white fog. It's a mutant creature, but how can a mutant creature release frosty air? This is strange. I thought only super creatures could wield elemental attacks. Han Sen was curious, and so he summoned his flaming Rex spike to kill more of the silkworms on the ground. Over and over, the announcement continued to pop. When the dark silkworms were killed, they each let out a frosty air. The creatures were weak and unable to fight, so Han Sen was able to hack them up casually and without worry. Mutant creature hunted, dark silkworm. The beast's soul has been acquired. Consume its flesh to obtain a random numeric amount of mutant Geno points, ranging from 0 to 10. After Han Sen hunted 30 silkworms, he finally heard the announcement that indicated ownership of a dark silkworm. Mutant dark silkworm, one-time use hidden weapon. Han Sen summoned the mutant dark silkworm, which sprouted a big, white, and fat bug on the palm of Han Sen's hand. It was rather heavy. He looked at it for a while, unsure of what it did. After some thought, he threw it at the cavern wall. Pang! The fat bug hit the wall and exploded. It unleashed a heavy, white mist. The fog's radius was about a meter, and the stone wall it had been thrown upon was caked in a layer of ice. This is interesting. Han Sen was rather shocked while looking at it. It was just a mutant-class beast soul, yet it could unleash a certain frosty power. This was not normal at all. I wonder if there are any sacred blood-class dark silkworms here. After killing 100 more of the Wrigley silkworms, he managed to obtain another 2 mutant beast souls. But still, no sacred blood types. Never mind. Let me pack up the ones I've already killed and vacate the area. After Han Sen picked up all the silkworms he had killed, Han Sen suddenly heard a noise come from deeper within the bamboo forest. It seemed that something was emerging from further within. Han Sen scanned the bamboo forest with alertness, as if he had activated God mode. With his senses, he was able to determine that something was traveling towards him at a rapid pace. It was currently 3 miles away, but that distance was sure to close fast. Is it a sacred blood dark silkworm? The thought of this made Han Sen quite happy. As time ticked by, the unseen menace closed the gap between them. When it emerged, Han Sen was finally able to see that it was an extra-large grub. Its body glistened like ice. A frost aura encompassed it, and it left a trail of ice in its wake. He took aim at the bamboo forest, and when it was close enough, he'd pull the trigger and swiftly end its life. It had now come within 1,000 meters of Han Sen. He refocused his peacock crossbow, but then heard more noises from the bamboo forest. It now seemed like an entire choir of creatures were frantically racing through the forest. At this, Han Sen's face changed. Now, he was seeing a large number of icy silkworms emerge from somewhere in the bamboo woods. From his quick, initial tally, he managed to count 100 of them. Impossible. How can there be so many berserk sacred blood creatures in one spot? If there were that many berserk sacred blood creatures, then there had to be thousands of ordinary sacred blood silkworms someplace in the area as well. Instead of guessing, Han Sen wanted to kill one and find out the truth. A hard light string moved and the Z-steel bolt took flight. It was like a beam of light, traveling 500 meters in the blink of an eye. It pierced through the ice silkworm's body and pinned it to the ground. Han Sen was delightfully surprised, thinking the silkworms were easier to kill than he initially imagined they would be. Mutant creature hunted, dark silkworm. The beast's soul has not been acquired. Consume its flesh to obtain a random numeric amount of mutant Geno points, ranging from 0 to 10. Han Sen suddenly froze with his jaw agape. He was like that for quite a bit. This isn't right. That can't be right. How can that be a mutant silkworm? How can a mutant-class creature possess such a high life force? Han Sen couldn't believe the fat ice silkworm was the same creature as the dark silkworms from earlier. But the announcement in his head could not be incorrect. Seeing more and more silkworms approach, Han Sen ran ahead to kill them all. They were mutant-class dark silkworms, same as the ones he had killed inside and outside the bamboo shoots earlier. Han Sen was perplexed, and not yet able to think of a reason why their bodies would be so vastly different. The life force in their bodies was far stronger. How can the silkworms inside the bamboo breathe ice, too? Even sacred blood creatures can't do something like that. There must be an external force affecting these little icy blobs, one that I have not yet been made aware of. Whatever it is, it's imbuing them with frightening strength. Han Sen killed the 100 big silkworms that approached and managed to obtain one additional beast soul. Han Sen quickly summoned it to take a look. Its definition was the same, but its physical appearance was different. The head was bigger and the body was practically ice. Han Sen threw it at a wall like before to check it out. It was much more powerful than the others, and the icy fog it unleashed had a radius of 3 meters. The frosty air itself was far more powerful, too. If they are both mutant dark silkworms, why is there such a clear difference between the two? If I killed baby ones earlier, and mature ones just now, it shouldn't affect the beast soul I just received. Beast souls do not factor in the age of a creature. This mystery is getting deeper. I wonder what is the cause for this curious anomaly. Silkworms have great genes, but it is a large race and they cannot all be mutant class, surely. There have to be ordinary ones out there, too. The fact that all these are mutant class dark silkworms is nigh unbelievable. Han Sen pondered the matter a little more, but then decided to hail for the silver fox to come down and join him. With the silver fox, he traveled deeper into the bamboo forest. In fear of the silver fox, all the silkworms went into hiding. If they couldn't escape, they'd hide in their bamboo shoots and shiver, which even made the stalks themselves quiver, producing noise like the rustle of leaves in the wind. The subterranean bamboo forest was enormous, but it had no stone pillar or significant stalagmites to support it. Supporting this humongous cavern was the bamboo itself, as the countless bamboo shoots rose from the ground and supported the ceiling. Han Sen had traveled 30 miles through this subterranean kingdom, but he had yet to see an end. It looked mostly the same. As well, the only difference he noticed was in the temperature. The deeper he went, the lower the temperature seemed to tick. The thickets of black bamboo all around him grew denser, and after another 50 miles, the bamboo stalks were as thick as the trunks of trees. Frost covered the ground and the temperature had dropped to what would be an insufferable level for most people. Han Sen proceeded, unfazed and unchilled, and it wasn't long before he ventured into a wholly ice-veiled area. The bamboo there was thicker than ever, and it would take 3 grown men, with their arms outstretched, to circle just one shoot. If there are dark silkworms in here, I wonder how big they are. Han Sen used his Dongshuan aura to investigate but could not see through the black bamboo to tell whether or not there were silkworms inside. Deeper in this wondrous bamboo forest, however, Han Sen managed to detect one particular life force. Despite possessing jade skin, this frosty area, and the icy life force that swirled around it had Han Sen shivering with the cold. The energy he had followed was strange, indeed. As he drew closer to the sparse meadow, Han Sen's eyes remained fixed upon it in deep observation and contemplation. It was thickly iced and in the center was a chilly, but not totally frozen, lake. In the lake, a plant that looked like a narcissus rested. The flowers were white. Han Sen had seen his fair share of strange flora before, and although the narcissus was strange to see there, it didn't stand out or even unnerve him. If there was a super creature guarding the narcissus, Han Sen would be glad. But that wasn't so, as he couldn't espy the presence of any super creatures around the lake. What Han Sen did see, however, was a man sitting beside the still waters. He stared at the narcissus without moving, and this surprised Han Sen. Han Sen could tell that he was a human due to his attire. He was wearing a human battlesuit. Creatures and spirits wouldn't wear what this man was currently geared in. Why are there other people here? Han Sen used Dongshuan aura to observe the fellow and the results surprised him. He had quite the life force, one that was far from weak. This place having an actual living person surprised Han Sen, as he believed himself to be the first person to ever set foot here. After all, the only entrance he knew of was the one that the twin-tail scorpion had made. But it wasn't as if he had reached the end of this place, and perhaps further ahead was another more accessible entrance. "Friend, what is your name?" Han Sen carefully walked across the ice and tried greeting the man. Provided there was no conflict of interest, Han Sen was not willing to make another enemy. After all, meeting others of the same kind in a place such as the Black Desert was a delightful thing. And even a simple correspondence or dialogue with someone of your own kind was nice enough. Han Sen continued talking as he approached the man. Still, there was no response. He didn't turn around or give any reaction. All he did was continue gazing at the narcissus in the lake. Han Sen continued his approach, despite the lack of engagement from the other person. When he saw him more clearly, Han Sen was shocked. It wasn't a living man. The man's clothing was fine, but the body inside had been frozen solid. It was like an ice statue. The fact that only his flesh had been frozen was strange, indeed. His clothing didn't even have a speck of frost upon them. Also, he did not understand why the life force inside him seemed to swirl and suggest that he was a living person. Han Sen's face quickly became grim. The man before him wore a battlesuit, but its model was something that hailed from the previous century. It seemed to be a relic from over 100 years ago. How can this man be frozen here? Is he dead or alive? Han Sen's heart had been given a shock, and as he inspected the person, he noticed something in his pocket. Judging from its shape, it appeared to be a notebook or wallet. Han Sen came a little closer and attempted to take it out of the pocket, as he was direly interested in a clue that would tell him who this person was. Suddenly, Han Sen's heart leapt inside his chest and the silver fox on his shoulder stood up in alarm. Its hair was all standing up, and it made grunts of caution towards the water of the lake. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.